What's up? We got The Flash, Season 2, Episode 16, Trajectory. So this episode starts off with the team, with Barry, training on a mountaintop, and they're talking about, so Barry tries to get enough speed to beat Zoom, but he accidentally falls off the ravine, but is saved by Cisco's drone. So then we see Jessie, and she's watching some reality TV show, or watching some news broadcast, or eating popcorn, and it's kind of funny. So then we see, so they're like, did it work? And they're like, no, and he's like, so then they're like, hey, we gotta go to a party at a club, and she's like, can I go? And Harry's like, Jesse's like, can I go, Harry? And Harry's like, absolutely not. And she's like, what? You want me to explore what this is about? Let me do it. And he's like, okay. And he's like, let's have the talk. And puts a wrist on her. That's like a watch. So at the party, Jesse's drinking, and Barry's like, hey, Miss Overage, if I let you drink, your dad's gonna kill him. And she's like, he's not that fun. So then Wally and Iris show up, and they're like, hey, it's Iris. And Wally, and he's like, hey, Jesse, this is Wally, his adoptive step brother. This is Jesse. And he's like, hey, are you around for me? And she's like, no. And he's like, are you far away? And she's like, you could say that. So then Jesse watch keep beeping, and that's when she discovers the message that Harry said in episode 10, which, wow. I know Harry didn't think she'd discover the message. So then a speedster attacks the club, and everyone thinks that the Flash is there. But then Barry speeds after it. So then Central City Picture News guy tries to say, is back saying, hey, the Flash has gone rogue. And I was like, what if it's not the Flash? And he's like, Iris, do you have a source? And she's like, I can't say. And he's like, you can't say, I'm writing this story. And she's like, oh, why don't we go out for coffee? And why don't we go out for coffee so you can tell me more about your plan? And he's like, okay. But when Iris starts to think, he wants to date Iris, but he wants to date Iris. And Iris is like, I didn't think this was a date. So Caitlin's like, there's only one person who could use a V9, and Barry's like, hey, why didn't you tell us this? And she's like, Jay Jay told me not to. And Barry's like, crap, Jay, I want, this guy must be dead and you're telling him to crap himself. And he's like, Zoom is much faster than me if there's a way to stop him with this V9 thing. And she's like, this almost killed Jay. And she's like, yeah, but there's someone who I helped create the V9 with, Eliza Harmon. And they go to Eliza, but she's like, oh, I heard the Flash went nuts. And he's like, yeah, it's not the Flash. And she's like, yeah, but then it's revealed that Eliza Harmon is the speedster because she has a split personality and is addicted on V9. So this episode's really about this episode's storyline is saying, hey kids, don't get addicted to things, because if you get addicted to things, you won't stop. Because that's basically Eliza Harmon's deal for the entire episode, is that she's addicted on V9, and that she can't stop injecting herself with it, giving her speed powers. So this episode's message is basically like, don't get addicted to things, kids, because if you get addicted to things, you won't stop. Okay. So then So then Eliza Harmon is like, time to have some fun, and he's like, hey Katie, tell me, and she's like, Eliza, and he's like, Eliza's not here, my name is Trajectory, and Cisco's like, oh, why are the crazy ones always thinking themselves? And she's like, tell me where the V9 is, or the cat guy gets it, and it almost shoots Cisco, but then Cisco vibes Zoom for some reason when he's near the helmet. So yeah, so they try to give Jessie the V9. They try to give Eliza the V9, but she's like, I don't know if this is fake. So she injects Jessie with it, but Jessie could die. So they're like, hey, what's her blood type? And he's like, PZ, and they're like, that's not a real blood type. And he's like, yeah, it is. I have it. So they save Jessie. Jessie also confronted Harry about the killing of Turtle, but the team never told him about this, or they didn't find out. So yeah, so she's like, you just gave that speedster everything she wanted. How many bad things are you gonna do to protect me? So yeah, so Barry fights Eliza, but Barry's like, hey Eliza, you gotta get off it. It's too much. And she's like, nope, I love this addiction, and just continues to dope herself up with. And she's like, I'll be faster than you'll ever be. And then her lightning starts to turn blue. And he's like, a guy? Her lightning's turning blue. And then Eliza just disintegrates, leaving her only suit and her mask behind. Wow. Yeah, so Barry starts saying, Eliza's speedster turned blue. Zuma's speed turns blue. But then like Jay took V9, he was fine. But he's like, maybe Jay Zoom, and Cisco's like, and Caitlin's just like, no, and he's like, no, Jay died right in front of us, and he's like, Jay died right in front of us. We all saw it. And he's like, well, speeches have been two places at once all the time. And yeah. So he's like, this guy should be a time to tell you, I've been vibing Zoom. And he's like, what? When he's like, it's been since we closed the breach, and every time it's happened, it's been around that thing. So Barry's like, we need to learn, Cisco. So they find out, Cisco vibes, and he discovers, and Jay removes his helmet and removes his mask, and he's like, no, this can't be. And he's like, what'd you see, Cisco? And he's like, I saw Jay. He's Zoom. And Caitlin's just like, no. And Barry's just like, wait a minute, I just got duped again. First, we're back in season 1, now again by another person I thought. Actually, Barry was kind of right in season 1, in the beginning of season 2, not to trust Jay, because he was like, but Jay was like, I'm here to help you, Barry, not harm you. But that was a big straight up lie, because in reality, he was there to harm him, because he was trying to take his speed. That was a straight up lie. That was just your way to get on the team, and it worked. Barry just didn't. So that's the episode. I enjoyed it. It was really good. So yeah, this episode is basically a full episode of not to get addicted to things. Like, Eliza Harmon was basically the villain of the entire episode, because she was just Caitlin gave her V9, just gave her the components to V9 without telling her how to make it, and she just became too much addicted to the product that she was willing to harm herself to get more. That's basically her entire thing. This episode is basically telling your kids, don't get addicted to things, because if you do, don't get addicted to drugs or anything, because if you do, you'll become too addicted to stop. Is that what the episode's telling us? I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea if the episode's telling us that doing drugs is wrong. But it's basically telling us not to get addicted, because That's the message, I'm guessing. Don't get addicted to things, kids, because if you do, you won't be able to stop it. That's basically the episode. But anyway, that was it for this video, and I'll see you next time for more of The Flash.